Hello everyone, I am Dan Stapleton and I am working on a review of Halo Wars 2. It's not done yet because I just got a hold of this game a few days ago and it takes a little bit longer than that to really understand how an RTS works. So hopefully I'll have this ready to go by the time Halo Wars 2 comes out, but in the meantime, here's what I think of it. Here is the campaign. We're playing an early campaign mission here that isn't going to spoil anything. It's kind of a emblematic of a lot of the mission design here, which is kind of run-of-the-mill, hold-out, hero-centric, go to point A, point B, kill everything in between. Nothing really special in the mission design in this game. It's not much that I didn't see in Command and Conquer or StarCraft, mostly StarCraft over the last 15 years. There's actually very little of the old Command and Conquer, go here, kill all the base. They kind of sidestepped that anyway. So yeah, the campaign is good. It's not great. Nothing super innovative, but it's a good-looking game. They did a good job of keeping the pace going for the most part. One thing I was a little bit disappointed by was the bugs. There were quite a few bugs in terms of like lockups. I had a hard crash once. I had like missions getting stuck in loading. I had permanently stuck. I've had missions or units get stuck and be unable to move, that kind of thing. Just more than I expected to see in a Halo game. It's still playable. I got through everything. There were 12 missions. I got through it in about 8 hours. I had to replay a couple missions because of bugs. But yeah, they do some cool stuff. There are a bunch of good mini objectives in there, like get through a mission with without losing any of this kind of unit, do this many kills with that kind of thing. So there's reason to replay it at least. One of the things that affects controls in both affects gameplay in both single player and multiplayer are the controls. And with a RTS, like, that's kind of a big deal. Again, it is totally playable. Got through all of it. It's just kind of slower and clumsier than you want it to be. And I'm sure some people will get really good at these controls and be experts at it and be able to play pretty competently. But more often than not, I found I was just throwing my units at, as a big glob at everything else. The reason for that, instead of being able to effectively micromanage, is that in order to select the units you want, like say you've got a bunch of armor units and say warthogs and scorpion tanks, and you come across a group of hunters, which are the anti-armor infantry from the Banished, which are the Covenant bad guys here. You want to get the Scorpion tanks and the Warthogs out of range of those hunters. But in order to do that, you have to select all of the hunters, all of the Warthogs and all of the Scorpions, and doing that quickly enough that you can get them out of range and to safety is really hard to do. Again, you can do it, but it's not easy at all. You can select everything on the screen with the right bumper and then cycle through it with the right trigger to get to the units you want and then move those away, but by the time you do, usually they're a little bit dead. So I mean, part of the reason I'm sure they didn't include cross-platform play between the Xbox and PC versions, this is the Xbox version by the way, is that you're just going to be way faster with a mouse and keyboard with that kind of thing. You'll be able to micromanage way easier. Macro, which is base management and stuff, is reasonably easy. You can cycle through things. You do have the ability to create presets, so you can cycle through those with the D-pad. But they really kind of double up on the gamepad controls, because if you hold down the right trigger, it basically accesses a whole other menu or a whole other controller layout. So you kind of have to learn 2 controller layouts and keep those in your head at once, which again, you can do. It's just more complex than most games and takes longer to get the hang of. So as far as the story goes, you're fighting these Banished, which are a group of Covenant, like rebel Covenant, who were fighting the Covenant at the same time as the humans, and they're led by a very intimidating villain, which was a very strong point of this story. He's a brute who rebelled against the Covenant and leads this big mercenary army. So it's familiar villains like you're fighting all the same grunts and everything, but they just have kind of a different spin on them. And the characters that you're playing as are mostly bland, but the new AI character is much, she's got some actual personality to her, which I enjoyed, and it really kind of carried the rest of the characters through. So here we've switched over to the Firefight mode, which is kind of an offshoot of the new Blitz multiplayer mode, and rather than creating a base and everything, this one is all unit management and summoning new units through these cards you see at the bottom. And I like this for this Firefight mode, which is a single player or co-op mode, because it just kind of throws in this random element. Like, you don't know which cards you're going to get. You can arrange your deck beforehand, obviously, but you don't know which cards you're going to have available at any given time. So I like that forces you to improvise, and you'll get some unexpected scenarios. What I don't love as much is just the regular Blitz mode, which is this in multiplayer. And it's not that it's not fun. It's not that it's fast-paced. It's interesting. It does a bunch of unexpected things, but I don't really see a lot of legs for that, just because I would get frustrated after a while of oh, I don't have the card I need to counter my enemy, and that's not because I haven't prepared. It's not because I don't have the resources. It's just I didn't get a good draw. And I like card games on their own. Hearthstone is all well and good, but layering that on top of a skill-based RTS, I think which is ideally going to be a level playing field, I think is not necessarily the best matchup in the world. The multiplayer, there's also another multiplayer mode, which is just your typical go smash the other guy's base, or the domination mode, which is and that one's probably my favorite, which is to control points on the map, Battlefield or Company of Heroes style, to control the most of the map. And you have some of that in this mode too, where you're controlling 2 of the 3 control points in order to tick up your tickets. And I feel like that's a more interesting mode than just smashing into each other, simply because there are more wild swings back and forth. Like, you can have somebody get almost all the way up to winning, and then have a wild comeback, which I find really exciting. And you got those really tense moments where you're trying to push them off of a control point to save the day at the last possible second. Now, another problem with Blitz, I should add, is that these cards, you do unlock a bunch of them by finishing the campaign and completing a bunch of optional objectives, but you can also buy them. So you're going to have people who can get a better deck than you. Unless you get really lucky, you're not going to get all the cards you want for the particular leader you want to play as. And here you can play as either banished or humans, and each human leader has specific cards to them. So getting cards for the particular leader you want to play as is not a sure thing, and that just leads down a dark path of wanting to buy extra card packs full of random cards that may or may not give you what you want. So if you're opposed to microtransactions, they also have another leader for sale already. If you're opposed to microtransactions, that can have an impact on gameplay, which I'm not a big fan of. Again, it's fun to play by itself, but long term I can see that being an issue. So that's pretty much the high level view of where I'm at with Halo Wars 2 right now. I do like it. It's fun. It's a fast-paced RTS. It's a little bit clumsy to control, but you can still get by, at least on normal difficulty. I haven't tried a harder difficulty level yet. But you can have a lot of these really very intense firefights, and it's a good co-op experience. When the bugs don't get in the way. To be fair, I haven't had any bugs in the multiplayer side of it, or the firefight side of it yet. That's all been in the campaign. But I will try to have a full review done by the time Halo Wars comes out on the 21st. So please, for much more on Halo Wars 2, stick with IGN.